In this movie, we're going to get into some pretty arcane territory. And so if that doesn't interest you, feel free to skip to the next movie. The thing is, this is an advanced course, so I want you to understand exactly what's going on under the hood. And the idea is that Exclude, if you think about it, Exclude applied to a compound shape is no better than just working with a straightforward compound path, because after all, compound paths use the exclude operation. And so let me show you what I mean by that. I'll go ahead and click and shift click on these circles to select both of them. And then I'll go up to the object menu, choose compound path, and choose make. Or you have that keyboard shortcut of Control 8, Command 8 on the Mac, which may seem like, why in the world would I ever remember that? Well, just bear in mind that the number 8 is the ultimate compound path because it has 2 circles cut out of it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and choose that command, and the result is one hole cut out of another. So you might figure, well, that's not exclude, that's actually minus front. But here's the thing. If I were to double-click on this path to enter the isolation mode and drag this inner circle down, you would see that we have a classic exclusion effect. So wherever the paths overlap, we have a hole. Where they don't overlap, we have an opaque fill, as you can see if I move these paths around a little bit. All right, however, that's not always the way it works. What I'm going to do here is press Control Z or Command Z on the Mac as many times as it takes to get back to the starting point here. And I'm going to marquee all 4 of these paths and then go up to the object menu, choose compound path, and choose make. And you'll see that we're not really getting total exclusion interaction. And to demonstrate the difference, I'll go ahead and marquee these shapes over here and go over to the Pathfinder panel and press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and click that 4th icon in the first row. And so the immediate thing that you see is that the exclude mode grabs the fill and stroke from the frontmost shape, where a compound path grabs it from the rearmost shape. But more important, I'll go ahead and double click on any of these paths to enter the isolation mode, and I'll drag this square so it's more or less centered on the other path outlines. And you can see we get that even-odd interaction. So any place where 2 path outlines overlap, which is an even number, we get a hole. Anytime where 3 path outlines overlap, which is an odd number, we see an opaque fill once again. And anytime where 4 path outlines overlap, again, an even number, we see a hole. Compare that to what we're getting with the compound path. I'll go ahead and press the Escape key in order to exit the isolation mode, and I'll double click on the compound path to isolate it, and then I'll drag that square down once again. Where we have an even overlap, we get a hole, but the next odd and even overlaps, we see opaque fills. The problem is an obscure PostScript feature known as the non-zero winding fill rule. Now, I'm not even going to bother to explain to you what that means. It's basically all about the direction of the path outlines, but I am going to explain the solution. What you do is you go up to the window menu and you choose the attributes command, which brings up this dinky little panel here, at least by default. Then you click on this double arrow icon in order to expand the panel. And notice this icon that's currently active. It says Use Non-Zero Winding Fill Rule, which is Illustrator's default setting. What you want is this guy right next door, Use Even Odd Fill Rule, which I think I've been explaining in detail throughout this movie. And notice as soon as you click on it, we get the exclusion behavior that we're looking for. And in fact, we get the exact interaction that we get from a compound shape set to the exclude mode. And so you may very well ask, well, then what is the advantage to working with a compound shape set to exclude? And the answer is that you can apply multiple modes within a single compound shape, as I'm about to demonstrate in the very next movie.